Hello there, Livable City family. This is Katie Birnbaum, and we're here with 25% More Joy. Today, we're really excited to be talking to the friends of Slow Sanchez, specifically Andrew Castile and Yuko Shah, who are going to be telling us about their slow streets over on Sanchez. And for you, those of you who don't know, Slow Streets is the SFMTA's new program to help calm streets for community uses, specifically during the pandemic. So it was released as a pandemic measure to help different communities have calm streets for exercise and community safe outdoors. But now we're in an exciting phase to potentially make these permanent. And that's why we're inviting Andrew and Yuko to 25% More Joy to hear from them about how the streets have brought joy to their community, and how they're using the streets to bring joy to their lives. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Yuko and Andrew. Can you tell us a little bit more about Slow Sanchez?
Go ahead, you go if you want, or
Sure,
I can
sure.
take it.
So I will make a little intro. Thank you, Katie. So we formed this group quite organically back in January, late January, and the movement started last year September when SFMTA rolled out this slow street programs without much notice to the local community. So, but not all by sudden, but you started to see barricades on the street and saying local traffic only, and then eventually, people using the street created a norm where people can walk and how we should, interact and collaborate with the cars and so on. And in January, we officially launched this volunteer program on Sanchez Street, which is in Noe Valley, and basically, maintaining this slow street as fun as possible, as clean as possible, with street cleaning, community get together, some sort of minor events along the street, with very much focus on bringing a community together. So in the COVID time, it was very quarantine requirements and physical distancing and so on. And then a lot of cafes and restaurants, of course, closed. So street became the place for us to meet and talk our neighbors. So then it creates so much joy and the sense of belongings. So our job is really to provide or to maintain a platform for our neighbors and kids, so that they can meet and enjoy everyday life. Um, to you, Andrew, if you can add anything.
Yeah, so we've done, as Yuko mentioned, we did cleanings along the street. We went and fixed up all of the like sandbags and all of the barricades to make sure they were safe because it gets a little windy out there. And like put up new dog waste bag receptacles, just to make sure that folks really can take care of like the issues that come up with more folks using it. It's really been adopted by a whole bunch of the neighbors. They really enjoy, like, I enjoy going out with my kid out there, and I met so many other people in a way that you don't really get with the regular day-to-day life. You're just, such a beautiful place to walk that you take your time, and conversations happen with folks that you would normally not see. And after two or three of those, like there's new friends that I've made out there, like became friends with an artist who has like hidden all of these little tiny figurines in the telephone poles. If there's like a little nook or cranny, they paint up little tiny figurines and hide them in there. And now that's what like me and my 5-year-old do. We go around looking for these little hidden people. And how would I have ever met that person otherwise? So yeah, it's been really great. It's been at a time where COVID was keeping us 6 feet apart. It brought me closer together with my community in Noe Valley than I have been in the 15 years I lived here.
Wow, that's an incredible statement. That's an incredible statement. So, I mean, I think we talk so much about how the pandemic has taken stuff away from us, right? And we like you said, we 6 feet away. We weren't able to be kind of in social settings. We weren't able to be in community, but the Slow Streets program, and it really sounds like on Slow Sanchez, it just took off and created um, actually kind of new relationships and a new place for you to be that wasn't even there before. That's amazing. Um, So with that, what is one of the most unexpected or delightful things that you saw or experienced on the street over the past year?
I think the most delightful thing I saw was my 5-year-old learning how to bike on it, because it's Noe Valley and we live on one of the hills, and so it's really hard to find that space. And so we would just, like, it was a pandemic, so what we would do in the evenings is we just go down, and it connects the best park and where the ice cream is on 24th Street. And so we'd go play at the park and then ride our bikes down to the, ice cream at the other end. And yeah, I just got to watch him like slowly work to where he was not even using his training wheels, and we took him off, and then he was just doing circles around us, um, and stopping at the rainbow door. One of the neighbors put a
Yeah.
rainbow LED strip up around their garage door with a button that I now think has been pressed. They have signs telling us updated like how many times people press the button, but each time you press it, there's like a 10-second snippet of a song. And so it's been pressed something like 25,000, or was it more than that? Was it, I forget, 25 or 20, 250,000 times, just so many people coming by and using it during the pandemic.
That's so cool. That's so amazing. What about you, Yuko? Have you seen or experienced what's the most delightful or unexpected thing that you've experienced?
This is a time I so happily use the word addiction. So walking on Sanchez became so addictive because 50% a chance that you will see your usual suspects. So it's the same dog, same people, not necessarily saying hello or communicate, but you kind of check. I saw this guy, I saw this dog, and then there's a 50%. Another 50% seeing brand new people, oftentimes kids or neighbors on Sanchez residence, and cleaning their front yard, taking care of their plants, and being a part of Friends of Slow Sanchez gave me the sort of power. If I'm just an individual like walking down the street, I would never say hello to those people. I mean, maybe smile. But then I can say, hey, I'm a part of Slow Sanchez. I'm friends of Slow Sanchez. We're doing, landscaping or cleaning. How can I help you? And then they will tell us their story and how they are maintaining or what's their concerns and problems are, and we can be a part of solutions. So I would say it's very addictive. I feel bad when I have to skip Sanchez walk with my son or with my dog, and then I have to send a note to Andrew or other friends like, "Oh, I'm not coming today." Like no one is picking me if I'm there every day, but I feel like I'm become a staple picture of Sanchez Street, but I know I'm not the only one. So I would say it's addictive.
It's totally like Cheers. You just go out and say everybody knows and everybody says hi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you heard of the concept of a third place? Have you heard? Yeah, Andrew, maybe. So the livable city. We do a lot of advocacy around kind of the elements of urban living that make it
Hmm.
livable for folks. And one of the big things is a third place. So that's where it's not home, it's not work, but it's a place that holds community and actually grows community, right, and social connections. A lot of those places, most third places that we associate are they're commercial, right? It's a store, it's a coffee shop, it's a restaurant, and those third spaces were completely gone during the pandemic, right? And so really what you're describing is a the street as a third space, and that's a beautiful in city planning and the history of city planning. Streets were actually a really quintessential third place for society, and actually as we've privatized or kind of disinvested in our public streets and sidewalks, we have less and less third places and we have less and less social cohesion. So what you're doing there and experiencing on Slow Sanchez is a beautiful renaissance of streets as third places, and I
Yeah.
love to hear that.
I remember growing up, how like you would just hang out outside out front, and like you see your friends, and then you start playing, and then slowly over time, like generations after me, like it was just like parents would be like, no, you should stay, in the yard or in the backyard, and as more and more traffic, would open up, and people would see less people on the street, the traffic would get faster, and the people would feel less welcome, and so you would lose that sense of having that third space, having that like stoop culture where you're like out on the stoop and you see other folks. And it's nice to see that back. It was really great during the pandemic, and it just continues to be good. I haven't seen any drop in the number of people that are out, enjoying Sanchez that way.
That's great. And so friends of Slow Sanchez, it sounds like there's maybe a lot of friends. How big is your volunteer group, and how has that been for your social life this last year?
Sure. Maybe I can give you a stats, and Andrew can follow up much more in detail. So currently we have about 37 volunteers, and then probably it's growing, so it could be much more. But the number last time I checked is 37. And those people are a committed group of people. Of course, not everybody is physically available, right? Like they have 3 kids working from home, zero time to come out and then do something physically. But a lot of volunteers focus on their expertise. So, Andrew, he was a teacher and his sister-in-law is a teacher. So they focus so much on the sort of programs related to kids and art. On the other hand, other people who do not have a time to come out on Slow Sanchez are focusing on writings, right? Our website, we're currently planning to um, uh, post some on the Chronicles or some open end about Slow Streets, petition letters, and so on. So people really focus on the best area they can the help, not necessarily doing something on the street. So that's one thing. That's how I, work with all the volunteers and focusing on their expertise. Number two, the overall supporting group. We have our own sort of survey and the letters for support posted on our website. And so far, we have 300 people signed these letters of support, which will be ultimately sent to MTA board, supervisor's office, local police officers, and so on. That number is still also growing. So, and then these are the people who actually live on Sanchez or within 1 block from Sanchez, and that consists, in my understanding, that consists more than 80% of our support. So we have been supported mostly by on and off Sanchez residents, 300 plus, with close to 12% on Sanchez at least. So we are inclusive, but we try to stay super local.
Yeah. Yeah, it's we have those 30, 37 core volunteers, but our mailing list is probably, I think at last it was like 450 or so folks that signed up to get updates about what we're trying to do. And besides being a teacher, I was also a bike advocate before, so I'm familiar with having to move something like this through the process, and so I've been helping with getting our petition together, making sure we have representation at the meetings, and seeing that this is taken to full permanence come July. Um, but it's a really easy sell. Like everybody that walks by when we're doing events, like we got some easels, and kids do some art to add to the barricades, which are they're street barricades. They're a little fugly, it's what they do, but make them a little bit nicer and a little more Noe Valley. And yeah, and just like remind people that this is that third place that you can go and enjoy in that way. And just to see other kids playing with Francis and like doing paintings with them or riding their bikes together with them, that's keeping that spirit going has been what I've been focusing on there. I joined when they did that big push in January. I saw they had these posters everywhere, and that's one of the other ways we can see the support, people putting these posters of Keep Sanchez Slow in their windows, just to show how much of the neighborhood is supportive of that, as well as the big mural that we got painted right by 24th Street on Sanchez of Noe Valley streetscape from our local artists. And this, it kind of reminds folks that this is something more than just a street, like that you can enjoy it in so many more ways.
And I mean, you all are just such an inspiration because the SFMTA Slow Streets program. I mean, it is an incredible framework, right? It gives you the way to slow your street in a way that you can start building back those social connections. But also, it is the creativity and the love and the dedication that you all are putting into it, that is making it this beautiful, vibrant community serving third place, right? And so I am so I am so inspired by everything that you all do, from organizing volunteers to the programs, to advocating, and also just talking to your neighbors about what this actually means, and making sure that people are brought along and listened to, and that it is a true community serving space for everybody. Um, so I would love to um, have a dreaming exercise, dreaming big exercise with you. So it is post COVID, so there's no more restrictions. It is, even, let's say you have your Slow Sanchez. It is within your grasp. It is yours to have. What does a moment of joy in the street look like to you?
I think it looks like the episode of The Simpsons where they all have their tables out front, where they're all doing like their kind of like garage sale things, and Homer's walking up and down the whole block with all of his neighbors out, singing about table five, do something like that, where it's just like everybody's barbecue is out front and a few chairs, and like the kids riding their bikes, get the street closed just for a day so we can really just enjoy all of the fellowship that we weren't able to enjoy in COVID, because there's all these loose connections that have been strengthened over time. And I think just that a moment to like let all of those really like be seen, by the whole neighborhood. Um, yeah, just burgers and like hot dogs and kids on bikes, like all up and down as far as I can see.
That is amazing. How about you, Yuko?
Sure, I very much am the same on Andrew, and um, I also focus on the practical side of it, meaning how we can actually bring in these neighbors, to our group, or how we can have them in our team, right? So I think it's very much doable, and but we have to earn their trust, we have to earn their support, and solving the problem of the on Sanchez resident especially gives me so much joy. And then I'm sure Andrew will agree with that. So let me just give you an example. I would say more than 70%, maybe more than 80% of our time have been dedicated to solving the problem or easement, right? The trash, noise, safety, and on such as neighbors, it's an everyday thing, right? So we can just come. I mean, I'm only a block away. I can come down and have fun and then go back, but those people need to face every minute, every day. So the most important thing for us is really to um, have a contact with those on Sanchez neighbors, listen to them, understand their problem, and then work with them how to solve. If it can't be solved, then how we can ease their concerns and problems. So when we come up with the solutions or suggestions to, clear their mind or to um, solve this problem, that's a very big win, and I'm very, very happy. One example is the trust issue. And then Andrew and I have talked, and it seems like pretty solvable, right? So we talked to DPW and MTA and the Recology all together, and increase the trash collection along the street from unknown frequency to twice a day, 7 days a week, which was a big win, and which basically solves this loitering problem along the street. And then plus every Wednesday we clean the street by ourselves, picking up any dangerous items and so on. So long story short, solving the problem and bringing our neighbors into our team brings me, the joy as much as I enjoy, drawing art and then
Big
chasing
part
after
of
bubbles on the street.
No, I mean that's a really good point, Yuko. I mean, I think that um, right. I mean, it was this the Slow Streets program is rolled out as a pandemic and emergency response, right, to give people space. Like you mentioned, there wasn't maybe quite as much discussion and engagement with neighbors as there traditionally is, because of the times, and when we were implementing it. But now, as we look to the future, what does that actually look to make it work for people that live there,
Right.
and to make this beautiful space work for everybody? And that is an amazing and beautiful accomplishment that should bring an incredible amount of joy to you.
Yeah.
And that is, I mean, as I was saying earlier, it is the really important work. The city um, can do its part to create these programs and the infrastructure to empower our residents to do this. But at the end of the day, it is also a lot of times it is neighbors talking to neighbors and figuring out what's going to make this work. It is our lives, right? It's our homes, it's our neighborhoods, it's our streets. And we need the framework to build those social connections and the time to work through them to make sure that they continue to work as a space for everybody. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And to steward it, and, so because it's never just a single agency that deals with all of this. The entire city has to touch on this. Like, it's an MTA program, but we have to deal with ecology to make sure that, like, the extra foot traffic doesn't turn to, like, too much trash on the street. Talk to, like, other groups like DPW about issues around lighting and other things to try to make it so much better. And it really does take that dedicated group of neighbors to continue to put pressure on all of the groups that need to make this a better street.
Right, to love your place, and love it enough to fight for it, right?
Right.
Well, okay, so on that note, we're gonna move to the last question and hear from you on how the Livable City family can help you stay connected to your street.
I can take this. There's, the process is moving forward towards permanence, not just for Sanchez, but also Shotwell and Page. So right now, there is a virtual open house that the SFMTA has put up, which has an email and a phone number where you can leave your comments about the street. So, we would love for anyone who loves, whether it's Sanchez or Shotwell or Page, like whatever slow streets you enjoy, to go and leave a message about, this is my name, this is where I live. I would like to see this street made permanently slow. Like, that's going to be, pushing the needle for us. There's also a final design meeting for Slow Sanchez coming up today at 5:30. And that's on the SFMTA's website. You can find that. And also on June 10th at 5:30. And this is where they're going to show their final design and, look for any final feedback that the neighborhood has. After that, then it's just the SFMTA board meeting on the 20th, where if you really care about your slow streets, July 20th, that is, and about Sanchez, to come and give, public comment so that the board knows how much this matters to you and how much you want to see it actually come to fruition.
Great. Those are some
Yeah, July
solid
20th.
action points. Oh yeah, go ahead, Yuko. What else can we do?
Sure. July 20th is definitely a critical date for Page and Sanchez and Shotwell. But let's think about this from a different angle. So permanent is a very heavy responsibility for the community, especially like us promoting and supporting the slow street going permanent. So now I'm very passionate, and Andrew and I are working so hard on this, but we're not young forever. So decade later, how can we maintain the joy that we have found during the COVID time, how we can maintain the joy for the generations to come? So I think you know definitely stay in touch, but also um, being a part of livable city community will empower us to be a lasting organization, not just a one-off literally like emergency response organization. Instead, we want to be a very stable, long-lasting organization, and we need to be educated. We want to have a support from other organizations in terms of success tips or things you shouldn't do, or seasonal events that we can co-host together, or any sort of not really political but a certain necessary advocacy about inclusiveness, about equality, about racial justice, anything that relates to your community. Because again, this is the third place, as you mentioned, and this is a place with the connection with the community, and then I think we can do a lot from that perspective. So we still need a lot of resources. We have volunteers, but for us to continue to be the hub of our community as a third place, we need a lot of support in terms of education, as I mentioned, and like seasonal events and tips and the knowledge sharing and so on.
Yeah, yeah, right. I know we're on the edge of a new future.
Always.
And there's gonna be a lot of co-creating in the year to come, but the years and years to come, right? Because this is really just the beginning of a whole new future for this city. And I look forward to building that future with you, Yuko, and Andrew, and all of the Friends of Slow Sanchez group. I said you've been such an incredible inspiration to me in Livable City. And just seeing how you all have just leaned into using this space to enjoying to filling it with joy, and then also just stewarding it and really championing it, and so it is an actual real community-wide serving resource for everybody. It is a true and incredible inspiration and good news story out of this year. So hats off to you. Thank you so much for doing the work that you do on Slow Sanchez, and also for joining us on 25% More Joy. We will be staying in contact and supporting you, staying connected to the street on Slow Sanchez. So thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yes.
Thanks so much.